Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and as you guys know for the title of the veil, it is now, almost time for the Universe Mode pay per view. And yes, I'm gonna be calling this Day Live from the MSG special event a pay per view now. Because if it was like in 2015, like the actual Day when they did it in the 2015 house show, in which where they showcased it on the Day Network, same thing for Starcade a couple days ago, although they didn't showcase Starcade on the WWE Network, which is kind of sad. But in 2015, they did showcase three live events. Well, one the morning live event. It was like the King's Ring tournament was like a Raw arena. Beast in the East, which was only sub to make Brock Lesnar return, and Live from the MSG was his only sub to just have a big matchup between Big Show versus Lesnar. And it wasn't even the main event. The main event was John Cena and Dolph Ziggler versus Kane and Rusev, probably, or was it John Cena versus Seth Rollins in a steel cage match? Whatever. Anyway, so we're just gonna call it the pay-per-view now at this point. And so, of course, we are going to have a pre-show. So let's just kick things off, I guess. And also, as see right now, another custom pay-per-view poster. Of course, I've done custom pay-per-view posters for Raw's exclusive or limit pay-per-view, Easter's exclusive barely legal pay-per-view, and SmackDown's exclusive No Surrender pay-per-view, which was since too long ago. That No Surrender pay-per-view was probably my most favorite pay-per-view of all three so far. The Life of the MSG one definitely gonna be my most favorite at this time. Also, and if not my most favorite pay-per-view poster. As we got Miro Suzuki, we got Aleister Black with the World Heavyweight Championship because he did win it at the No Surrender pay-per-view, and Triple Threat versus Ryback and Dolph Ziggler. We have CM Punk as the WWE Champion. Of course, he's the WWE Champion for Raw. And we got Raw's Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles, also since they are going to be in a tag team match once again. So anyway, that's your pay-per-view poster, and of course, Miro Suzuki, he's over on ECW. Okay, anyway, going to the action right now. Pre-show time. I'm not sure this is going to be in particular match order, but let's just do it. I'm going to quickly run down the storylines, very quickly for the pre-show, because I don't want this pre-show to be all long. So altogether, it's going to be 12 matches, 4 in the pre-show, that'll be a separate video, and then 8 in the full show, and that'll be the actual full show. Sorry. For the pre-show, Easter, they have 2 matches, SmackDown has 1, Raw has 1. We're going to kick things off with Raw action, hopefully. And it's going to be the Brood defending their Raw Tag Team Championships against Breezango. A quick rundown of the storyline. Basically, Breezango, they defeated the Brood in a tag team match before the Limit pay-per-view, in which the Brood defeated the Hardy Boys for the tag titles. And then, due to Breezango defeating the Brood, before the Brood won the tag titles, the Brood, they will be defending their titles against Breezango, as there's been some setup with some one-on-one matches between, Edge versus Ty Breeze and stuff like that. So we're going to have Edge and Gangrel represent the Brood, as they're going to take on, of course, Ty Breeze and Fandango. Christian, he is out with an arm injury. He's going to be out for probably another episode. I said 2 or 3 weeks. He got injured in week 7, so week 8, week 9, week 10. He'll probably come back in week 9 or week 10 then. The next episode of Universe Mode for Raw is definitely week 9 after this, though. And then, blah, blah. So we shall see how that tag team match goes. ECW action, the first half of ECW action, as we are going to continue a little time rivalry, I guess you would say. Of course, Rusev, he defeated Drew McIntyre in week 6 in a minute. And then Drew McIntyre retaliated by defeating Rusev in the Go Home show, the latest episode of ECW, in a minute or 2 minutes as well, as when Rusev defeated McIntyre. So they're going to have a third matchup to see just who's better. They're both tied at 1-1 apiece, so we shall see in the pre-show. SmackDown action, as this is going to be another rematch. As we're going to have Big Show versus Kazuchika Okada again. Of course, in week 7 of SmackDown, we had the Big Show Open Challenge, in which Okada, he accepted it. He sadly lost to the Big Show. Big Show was just too overpowered, and so Okada, he gets a rematch here tonight in the pre-show against Big Show. Let's see if Okada could get his revenge on Big Show. And time for, the main event of the pre-show. Not the regular show, so the pre-show, but I don't even think it counts as main event. But anyway, the last match of the pre-show, ECW's second matchup. And it's going to be for this is an impromptu matchup. I legit just finished recording this matchup a couple minutes ago. I recorded the R3 pre-show matches last night. For this one, I just recorded literally just a couple minutes ago. because I just got the idea to do it. So this is impromptu. This one kind of doesn't really have much storyline, but Taz will be defending his ECW Hardcore Television Championship against Kenny Omega in a rematch, as Taz, of course, he did defeat Omega to retain his championship at the ECW exclusive Bare Legal pay-per-view. And then in the ECW Week 6, 7, and 8, of course 8 being the latest, Week 6, 7, and 8 were after the ECW exclusive Bare Legal pay-per-view, and so we did not do no storyline at all for the CW Hardcore Television Championship. We have done no normal contenders match. We have done no one attacking Taz backstage. So for this one, we're gonna have Kenny Omega use his rematch clause. Of course, everyone in this universe, they have a rematch clause. The Hardy Boys, they still have their rematch clause against the Brood for the Raw Tag Team Championships. They have not used it yet, but the Hardy Boys, since they were the former champions and the Brood defeated them, they could use that rematch clause to have a rematch against the Brood, or they could, power to use against Breezango and stuff like that. It's gonna be all confusing though for Raw's tag team division, but that's something for another time, because this is ECW, and so Omega, he gets his rematch clause for the title. Let's see if he can pull one off on Taz. Knowing if Omega does win this matchup, if he does, then we'll probably set up a storyline with Taz using his rematch clause, or us changing it to like a triple threat by adding in another man or something like that. But we shall see. And so if Taz wins the title in the pre-show, well then Omega, he can no longer use his rematch clause, so because you can only use the rematch clause once. Unlike if it's back and forth for like Omega, for example, let's say Omega was the champion, Taz defeated him, then Omega uses his rematch clause, he defeats Taz. Taz uses his rematch clause, he defeats Omega. Then, it can go on into more than 3 matches. Stuff like that. So that's how the pre-show's gonna work out. It's kind of a stacked one. Only 4 matches in the pre-show. And to be fair, they're all like, mid-card tag team style matches. So, no jobbers. So yeah, that should be interesting. Anyway, moving on to the first match of the night. First of 8. So it's going to be 8 matches in the regular show, 4 matches in the pre-show. So 12 matches in total, but a separate video for the pre-show and then a full show with those 8 matches. Of course, this is joint branded between Raw, SmackDown, and ECW. So the first match, United States Championship Open Challenge Triple Threat Matchup. Now, if you guys did see my latest episode of Universe Mode, which was SmackDown Week 8, the go-home show, of course, had Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Had Xavier Woods and Big E in the thumbnail, since they're part of New Day. But Kofi, he's in his own tag team with R-Truth, so we're not gonna put Kofi into a New Day yet, or probably never gonna do it. I don't know. But anyway, for this one specifically, the storyline going into this one is that Hiroshi Tanahashi, he has defeated Austin Aries twice in a row. In the No Surrender pay-per-view, Tanahashi retained his United States Championship against Aries by Tanahashi getting counted out and Austin Aries not being able to get Hiroshi Tanahashi back into the ring in time, since, Austin Aries knocked Tanahashi out cold in the outside of the ring. So he breaks up the count and he's not able to get Tanahashi back inside the ring. So because of that, Tanahashi retains his championship. And because of that, we also have a rematch on the, week 7? Yeah, in the Week 7 edition of SmackDown, we have a rematch. Same thing happens. Same thing that happened in the pay-per-view happens in the regular show. In the regular SmackDown Week 6 or 7 show, where it was. And so, due to this, Tanahashi cuts a promo on Week 8 saying of how he'll give Aries another opportunity, since Austin Aries, he did not use his rematch clause. If anything, Jim Cornette scheduled the matchup. Austin Aries, he didn't use his rematch clause. He didn't go to the general manager, which is Jim Cornette for SmackDown. And so, he didn't say to Jim Cornette saying of how he wants a rematch clause. Jim Cornette gave him the matchup. So, if Aries is to lose this matchup, well, if he is to get pinned by either Tanahashi or the mystery opponent that should answer the Triple Threat Challenge, then he will get a rematch. But if he doesn't get pinned, well, then he doesn't use his rematch clause. I mean, he could, or something that, or whatever. I'm gonna figure it out. Anyway, I confused myself. And so it's gonna be Tanahashi versus Aries versus a mystery opponent. It could be any debuting person on SmackDown, or it could be one who's not even in the Zoomers mode. Anyway, that'll be a star-studded way to kick off the show. That is SmackDown's matchup. Second matchup, one that has a last second placed storyline for the first pay-per-view, but now it's had a whole lot more and better storytelling for like the past few weeks, setting up into the fourth pay-per-view, so that's good. And so, AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, they will team up once again to take on The Undertaker and Kane once again. This time it's going to be in a tornado tag non-elimination match. So, first team to score pinfall and submission, they shall win the matchup. Unlike last time at the Raw exclusive Order Limit pay-per-view, where we had Kane eliminate Nakamura quickly, and we had Taker eliminate Styles quickly. It's going to be a rematch, and of course they have had multiple one-on-one matches. Of course, with Nakamura versus Kane, we have had Styles versus Undertaker, I believe. Nakamura versus Taker as well. It's been a whole lot of storytelling into this, so should be good. Of course, Taker and Kane, they are the heels for this. Styles and Nakamura are the faces. That'll be Raw's matchup, and that'll be his first, blood feud. That'll be showcased here. Third matchup now. And this is going to be literally a blood feud. It's going to be a rematch as this ECW's matchup, their first matchup of the regular show. And it's going to be Finn Balor versus Braun Strowman in the first blood match. The stipulation has been handpicked by General Manager Paul Heyman, by ECW General Manager Paul Heyman. This was a last second placed stipulation, but the storytelling for it has definitely been probably one of my best rivalries in Years Mode so far. Because basically we've been having Strowman attack Balor backstage multiple times for like the past few weeks. We've made him stop, of course, with Paul Heyman wanting to, restore peace and stuff. So, just so they won't be all that much chaos. But we have had Balor get the last laugh as he has attacked Strowman last. Strowman surprisingly didn't attack Balor in week 8, but I think in week 7 Balor did attack Strowman. But at the ECW exclusive Bare Legal pay-per-view, we did have a steel cage to a death matchup in which Strowman absolutely demolished Finn Balor. So whoever bleeds first, we shall see, and we'll see if we're going to continue the rivalry after that. So yeah. Anyway, fourth matchup, going into Raw's part of things once more. Intercontinental Championship Fatal 4-Way matchup, MVP versus Alex Shea versus The Miz versus Apollo Crews. Crews, of course, is your Intercontinental Champion. For this one, we did have a whole promo segment in like week 7 of Raw, I believe, in which we did have MVP call out Intercontinental Champion Apollo Crews, and then instead of Apollo coming out, we had the man who has a rematch clause, The Miz, since The Miz did not defeat Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship at Raw's or Limit pay-per-view, so he has rematch clause. So he came out there, started to insult MVP. Then we had number one contender Alex Shelley. He won the number one contender's Fatal 4-Way matchup between Batista, Sami Zayn, and his tag team partner Chris Sabin. And so he came out saying the power should really be a trip there or something like that. He did get the crowd happy and stuff like that when he did say that he should be Intercontinental Champion. But then that Apollo Crews, your Intercontinental Champion, he comes out and he says he'll take on all comers. So instead of it being a triple threat between him versus Alex Shelley versus The Miz, Shelley, of course, being the number one contender, and The Miz, of course, having his rematch clause, he decided to add an MVP who, might I add, does not have no wins in this Universe Mode at all. He has lost all his matches here in Universe Mode. So when he turns heel, he calls out a promo. He starts a promo. He's frustrated, so he turns heel. He doesn't attack no one, but he's you could tell that he's a heel with his new bad attitude and stuff. And so it's now gonna be a fail for it. Now, of course, for Alex Shelley and The Miz, we kind of have more storytelling into it than Miz trying to get revenge on Apollo Crews, or Alex Shelley and Apollo Crews trying to get the best out of each other to pull off a great matchup. Instead, we had The Miz attack Alex Shelley's tag team partner Chris Sabin backstage in week 6 or 7, I believe. And so because of this, we've had Alex Shelley vow to win the Intercontinental Championship by pinning The Miz in the Fatal 4-Way matchup. Not pinning MVP or not pinning the champion Apollo Crews, but pinning The Miz, since The Miz has actually defeated. No, he has not defeated Alex Shelley, but he has attacked Shelley's tag team partner Chris Sabin. And then in a 1-1 matchup, I believe Alex Shelley defeated The Miz in week 7 or week 8. So, a couple storytelling into that. So, that shall be good. We shall see Alex Shelley and The Miz's portion of the match for that, but we shall see. Then, SmackDown's matchup This is not gonna be SmackDown's main event. I did make a mistake for the SmackDown Week 8 promo, but this was a last second placed matchup since SmackDown is not going to be defending their World Heavyweight Championship since Aleister Black just won the title at No Surrender pay-per-view, which was like 2 weeks ago, game-wise. And so for him to defend it 2 weeks later after winning it, then, doesn't really make sense all that much. So we're going to have Aleister Black, your World Heavyweight Champion, as the special guest referee for a number one contenders matchup between Dolph Ziggler and Ryback, in which this would be Ziggler and Ryback's third matchup. It was a triple threat and no surrender between Ziggler, Ryback, and Aleister Black. Of course, Black, he made Ziggler submit after Ryback was knocked out cold as well. And Ryback, he looked like a complete and utterly monster in that matchup. So we all thought that Ryback was going to win the title, but no, Aleister Black won it. So, third matchup, and it's going to be a rematch between Ziggler and Ryback. First meeting, Ryback beat Ziggler. Second meeting, Ziggler beat Ryback. So we shall see, as this one's for all the marbles. This one is for a number one contender shot at Aleister Black's World Heavyweight Championship at probably a future episode of SmackDown or SmackDown's next pay-per-view, which, to be fair, is not all that close because we do have Raw's pay-per-view next. Then we got ECW, then we got SmackDown again, and then, should change order or something like that. So that should be a good matchup, especially with Aleister Black as special guest referee. We'll know what can come from that. Anyway, ECW's main event, as this is the sixth matchup now. Baron Corbin will be defending his newly won ECW championship that he won it from Raven at the Bare Legal pay-per-view. And he'll be defending it against Miro Suzuki. Of course, Miro Suzuki, he attacked Raven after a matchup. Miro Suzuki, he debuted on ECW by attacking Corbin. After Corbin won the ECW championship, Corbin ran backstage, tried to get away from an angry Raven after he defeated Raven, and so Suzuki, he comes out of nowhere, attacks Corbin, cuts a promo next week of ECW, says of how he is here to stay, and of how he is going to take Raven's rematch clause. Since Raven was the original champion, Raven won a 4-man tournament. Raven defeated Finn Balor, Corbin defeated Ambrose, and then Raven defeated Baron Corbin. And so, it's going to be Miro Suzuki who defeated Raven, and with Raven's rematch clause on the line. So if Raven won, then Suzuki will have to wait later on. And if Suzuki won, then Raven loses his rematch clause, and then Suzuki immediately gets the title shot. Suzuki, he defeated Raven in the main event of one of the episodes of ECW, and so because of this, Suzuki, he's going to face off against Baron Corbin for the championship. That is going to be a great hardcore main event. Anyway, SmackDown's main event. This is the seventh matchup now. And it's going to be for SmackDown Tag Team Championships. DX, who won the titles from Rhino and Slater when the titles were vacant. They won it at the No Surrender pay-per-view. And, of course, the number one contenders for the titles. We crowned number one contenders at the Week 8 edition of SmackDown. As we had James Storm and Robert Roode defeat Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman. So Storm and Roode, they challenged DX for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships in SmackDown's main event of the show. That should be good. And then Raw's matchup, they're going to main event this. It's going to be the 8th final matchup of the show. WWE Championship, CM Punk defends title against Roman Reigns, who Reigns, he's going to use his rematch clause, and against number one contender, Bobby Lashley. Of course, we've had Reigns and Lashley had some matches. Reigns and Lashley, they're also a tag team. Even though they only had one tag team match, and that was in like week 1, so that was a while back. But they're still classified as a tag team. We're going to probably have them be in the tag team match if they do lose this matchup, but we don't know yet. I don't know yet, because I haven't even done none of the matches on the regular card. I've done all the matches on pre-show, though. That'll be uploaded probably later on. And so for this WWE title matchup, we are going to have a promo between Punk, Reigns, and Lashley. Like a promo package. But I just wanted to say, and a disclaimer, that the promo is going to probably be copyrighted. But probably copyrighted because of either some non-copyrighted rock music, since I do not like for some of the ones for uncopyrighted rock music, some I actually do get copyrighted for some of them. So that sucks. Which one I'm just going to use a copyrighted one. See what happens. I don't even make no YouTube revenue, so I'm not scared about that. But I am scared if it does get blocked. That's going to be a problem. But YouTube revenue one, I don't mind. Also, because it's going to have some like WWE promo audio from like different matches. Not different matches, but like from other promos for those 3 superstars. And so that's going to be probably the big reason for a copyright claim. That's most likely going to happen. And not to mention the promo is going to be a separate video and on the in the full match as well. So that's gonna kind of suck. It's gonna be sad. But anyway, that will be the match card, and that will be the promo for the match, the main event. And I just want to say that the action in the promo did not happen at all in the Week 8 edition. Well, in none of the weeks for Raw. I could have used some of the clips from the CM Punk vs. Roman Reigns match at the Order Limit pay-per-view, but I was just too lazy, so I didn't bother these clips. I aspired to make some clips that never happened in prior episodes of Raw or their Order Limit pay-per-view. So you probably might see CM Punk doing the icon device on Roman Reigns in the middle of the ring, and that didn't happen. Instead, it happened on the outside of the ring. And they're having it in the middle of the ring, or you probably might see CM Punk do a GTS to Bobby Lashley and then stand on top of the announce table with the WWE Championship or something like that. That hasn't happened at all in the prior weeks of Raw. So yeah. And that'll be the match card, and yeah. Hope you guys enjoy.